Hi everyone, Denise here again. We are back for another tutorial on a card kit that you have either purchased or you're just watching to see what you can do or learn and make with your own dies, and that's perfectly fine too. So if you are here for the class kit, then you'll need a few things. I used bamboo leaves. I hope these are right side up. I'm not really used to doing things on cameras like phones. So I use bamboo leaves, the Memento ink. I also use New Sprout a lot. If I like a more vintagey look, I'll use olive. But let's be honest, any ink you have that's green will do. So that's just what we're using here. We did use the Memento Teal Zeal for the flowers, and that's what they're stamped in, but you don't have to color them in the Teal Zeal if you don't have it. You can contact Christina to see if she has any left if you're in need. Same for any of the green. But if you have a pink, a yellow, a purple, they're gonna look fine. It doesn't matter that it's stamped in blue, it's going to look fine. So use whatever you have available to make the card. We chose Teal Zeal because it matched this blue paper the best. So that's why we went with that color. So let's get a few things here. You're also going to need a mini mister. I have a bigger mister, but a mini mister is fine. You're going to need 2 blending tools of some kind, whether it's brushes or it's the regular tools like with the stylus, or even if it's daubers, those are fine too. You're going to need a flower shaping kit. I use the McGill kit or the Heartfelt Creations kit, but McGill is my go-to because it's the one I learned on. I'm probably going to end up using the 5mm one, just in case you're interested in that, but you can use any of them. You also need the McGill mat. Now you see here it comes, this is not exactly right the way it's cut, but it comes as one piece. And I cut it in half because I like to double it for the extra dimension. You'll see here that I have glue on mine. This is a big no-no in the store. It's usually a big no-no everywhere. You do not use glue on the mat. I do because I just bought an extra. So you can buy a mat and you can cut it in half because you only really need this. I mean, you don't want to do too many flowers at once. The water that you mist it with will dry and, you know, you're just misting again. So smaller batches are usually better for this. So you can use one side to flower shape and then the other side to glue for the dimension if you want, or you can buy 2. They're usually cheap enough where you can do the double dimension, use half, you know, cut it in half, use the one for shaping and then use the other for gluing, but never at the same time. I'm going to use them here because I'm used to it and mine is completely dry. You need a liquid adhesive that is dries clear. We use Bearly Arts dries clear glue in the store because it can be shipped to Long Island and the Northeast year round, unlike the Art Glitter Glue, which I love. I love their dries clear glue. Both of these brands have the fine tip that you need and they have the pin and the whole deal, but the Art Glitter Glue cannot be shipped to colder regions when they're cold. Now, the company will tell you that, and they're very honest about it, and you'll have places like Amazon or big box stores that will ship it to you anyway, and trust me, as somebody who has taken the risk, I have dumped a lot of glue because it froze on the way here, or it was in my basement, not near any kind of heat, and it froze, and it had a more watery consistency than 2% milk, which is exactly what the company tells you. It will lose its adhesive properties. So I ended up dumping out at least half of the bottle for every bottle I had ordered until it got a glue-like consistency back. So as a result, we just kind of stick to the Bearly Arts glue in the store, and I'm kind of a convert. I do love them both, but either will be fine. So any kind of dries clear glue that you have, you will need for this. If you like pop dots or foam dots and you want to add them to your card, feel free. Just keep in mind that there is some dimension to this flower. Let's see it there. So if you're going to mail, and there are pearls on here, so if you're going to mail the card, anything thicker than 1/4 inch has to be sent as a package, and you have to pay for it to be a package. I know this because of a Christmas card snafu a few years ago, and I had 120 cards have to go as packages, and it's not the same price. It's, you know, by distance and zip code, and yeah, it wasn't my finest moment for Christmas cards for sure. So let me pass that warning on to you. If you're handing somebody the card, no problem. But if you're planning on mailing your cards, you may want to think twice before you use a lot of dimension. So the first thing I would do, and again, a tape runner is not going to help us for most of this. It's a liquid glue is really what you need. You can use a tape runner for this. Decide whether you want the embossed or the debossed side for your blue. I like the embossed side facing up. Put your adhesive on the back. Pop it onto your card. Now at this point, you don't have to decide if it's a top fold or a side fold, whether the card's going to be like this or like this, because it doesn't matter. We're not putting a sentiment on it. You can do that when you send the card. I don't tend to put sentiments on these cards because I don't want to have a thank you card already done, but I needed a birthday card. So I tend to do those last minute. So if you wanted to pop this side or, raise it foam tape, whatever you want to use, this would be the layer to do it on, really. But again, I'm going to do all mine flat. And you'll notice I'm not actually gluing anything down because these kits are really very limited. So I don't want to waste one. I will color some of the flowers for you to show you how. So some lucky person is going to get a kit with already colored flowers. So that takes out a little of the work for you. I know I have a shadow here too. I apologize. And I'm sure my cat will wake up any minute. So I don't have a way to do another kit once I color the flowers. So you may have to deal with cat like I tell my high school students. So sorry if that happens. Take your dry as clear glue with the fine tip and strategically place your glue. You don't have to put it everywhere. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. You can just strategically place it in the thicker spots there. And then center it. That's one of the best parts about a liquid adhesive. You have a few seconds there to adjust it and move it around and get it where you want it, unlike a tape adhesive, right? So you have that down. Make sure that all of the chads and the little things, like if you have any dies, little pieces that didn't come out left over, make sure that you get rid of those in advance. And I should say too, I forgot to say, I think on a few videos, be sure that you subscribe to the channel below and that you click the bell. That way you know when we post new videos and you can either play along at home with what you have or you see when the card kits go up. I had something else I was going to tell you and I forgot what it was. Don't know. It'll come to me. Okay, so then this you can either put flat, put your glue here, or again, you can pop dot, foam dot this in the middle if you choose to do that. But remember what I said. We're not going to do the pearls today together, but I am going to put it here so that if you need to, you can take a screenshot. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. So that you can take a screenshot if you need to, so you see where I put mine. But it doesn't matter where you put yours. You put them wherever you like. And if we go too fast at any point for you, remember it's a video. Watch the whole thing first, then go back, rewind, pause, whatever you need to do to craft along with me. Okay, so now that I have my base built, I'm going to throw that to the side. I'm going to take my teal zeal and I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to do this on the other side where I already have it all messed up from these colors. Actually, I'll do it here so you can see it a little bit better. It's a little messy. Okay, so I have my blue brush. I tend to use the brushes. I like them better. Now you can do this a few ways if you're not familiar with coloring things. First of all, it's nature, so it's not going to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So if you're like me, you have that OCD of perfection in you for these flowers, get rid of it. You don't need it. Honestly, you don't need it. This is a card. It's not going to last forever, nor is it meant to. It's not a scrapbook page, which you want to last forever. Maybe you'd be a little more perfection-y with. You can either pounce. Notice I'm not going heavy though. I'm just pouncing in there. And you see that gives you some color. You can rub. That gives you a little more color. When you rub, you can do it without holding the top. See here? And you see that color, I hope, right? I rub the same amount. Now I'm going to hold the tip. This gives you a heavier concentration of color. Notice the difference in color. So I tend to be heavy-handed, so just keep note of that. Now you want more color in the middle anyway on these. So I'm not pressing, I just have my finger here. So I'm going to press this time, and I'm going to go in a circle. I'm not going to touch the flower as I do it. It's okay if the flower moves. If I need to hold it, that's fine, but I don't want my finger to get in the way. I want the ink on the flower, not my finger. Well, it'll get up my finger, but not as much on my finger. And then if I need to just sort of do the edges like that, that's fine. But notice that the majority is in the middle, right? And that's what we want. Let's see if we can keep that camera there. So again, I'm holding because that's how I do it. You can do it any way you want. Now I'm just gonna kind of brush off the sides. It's okay to me that it's light. If I think it's too light, I'll pounce on the ink pad again, and then I'll tap off so that I don't get big splotches. The little one, I'm not even gonna hold like that. I'm just gonna go here. But the littlest one, I'm also gonna flip a little bit. I'm gonna take that off. I only want a little bit of color on the back. Just in case I see it, I can hold that, but I don't need to. But I didn't really re-ink, so it's just a hint of color. So some lucky person will get these already colored and maybe a couple of them shaped. Now, you would do the leaves the same way. I tend to hold the leaves a little bit when I do color the leaves, only because of how kind of thin they are, and by thin I mean fragile. So you can hold it down here and color. You can do it like this and color off that way. You can circle it, but again, be careful, go lightly on your circles, however you wish to do it. So let's shape 2 flowers that you need here. So one person's gonna get some of them already shaped. So the way you shape your flowers is you put them ink side down, stamp side down. You always color first. Take your mister, you hold it about a foot over your your cutout. If it's too close, it'll saturate the paper, and when you shape it, it will rip. So you don't want that. Too high, it won't hit the paper. So too high is better than too low. You can always hit it again if you need to, but try not to. So you're gonna hold it about a foot over, and you're gonna spray. You see how much water that was with even one spray? Now I'm gonna take my stylus, and I can do this a few ways. I'm actually gonna use a little bit bigger stylus for this one. I'm gonna use the 6mm. It doesn't matter, you can use any of them. You can either just, now you never hold the flower when you do this. You can either just press around, like in a circle. You can outline, and then press in the middle. Or you can just circle. Now notice the flower moving on its own. That's what you want it to do. That's going to break the fibers of the paper and create that shape. But notice that we still kind of get the same results no matter how we do it. So there's no real wrong way except holding the flower. Flip it, press down. Right? And you see maybe the stress in my finger. Press down pretty hard and you get that pop-up. That's what you're going to do for all of them. Now, the little one is a little bit different. Still, stamp side down, a foot over. Oop, there we go. I hit the whole thing this time. I'm going to use a little bit smaller one this time. This time I am going to go with the 5mm. I'm just going to hit these petals a little bit, not much, because it's not going to make a difference, except it may be easier when I shape them a bit. This time, I'm going to press my stylus in the middle. Now notice how I'm pressing. You see how it's coming up just a little bit? I'm going to keep it there. I'm not going to lift it. I'm going to do circles. I'm not touching it, and I'm not lifting in between. I am pressing and going in a circle, and I'm letting the flower go wherever it wants to go. When it goes off the page, I'm going to move it back, but then I'm still going to do it again. So when you're done, it should kind of look like a cup. And you have to forgive my Band-Aid. You're going to bend each of these petals in half. And this is just for the littlest one. I know you're ruining the shape. It's okay. The shape is still there, trust me. So now that you have the petals kind of bent, now, okay, mine looks like a hot mess. You see it, right? I'm going to gather it up, and I'm just going to kind of smush it, smush it together. So it's smushed together. See it there? Smushed together. Right? When you do your flowers, now you've got your one flower in the middle. You're going to take your biggest flower, after you've shaped them, you're going to take your biggest flower, you're going to put some glue, liquid adhesive, in the middle here. You're going to take your second biggest flower and you're going to offset the petals, which means you're not going to put the petals on top of each other. You're going to put the petals for the top one in between the petals of the bottom one. So this would go like this, and then you glue and then you press. And that's why I use the mat, because I like the dimension that I get when I press. I'm just gonna hold it there for, less than a minute. And then I'm gonna put some glue in this one. I'm gonna take my next shaped one and I'm going to offset it and I'm gonna press. And then I'm gonna do the next one, offset and press. That one that we just did here is the one in the middle. Like a rosebud, kind of. So when you get to your top layer, which would be this little one, you're gonna put a little bit more of a puddle of glue there. Again, it's gonna dry as clear, so you're fine. And then you're gonna pop this in, whether you want it facing upright or sideways, however you want it. And then I usually stick my stylus in there to hold it down a little bit, just to secure it a bit. And then while the stylus is in there, if I want it like tighter, that's when I'll usually start maneuvering it with my fingers, because it can't move because I have the stylus cutting it. And then by the time I take it out, there it is. Now this is gonna take a little bit of time to dry, so don't be, going all over the place with it. I'm not gonna color these in this kit because I want the person who gets the kit to color them, just like the shaping. But what I would do with these, because all of these flowers get layered into that one, unless you want to do it different. If you want to create a totally different card, it's your card. Do whatever you want to do with it. This is just how we did it. I usually overlay those and I pop this in the middle. Now I don't like that I have so much leaf showing, which is why I never glue anything down first. So I'm going to move my leaves. Maybe I'm going to put them this way and I'm going to angle them down and I'm going to see how that looks with my flower. I think that looks better. Maybe I don't want them all together. Now again, if you watch the whole way through, you'll have the option of not gluing your flower, everything together. If you did it on the first time, you glued everything together, and that's fine. Put the leaves where you want them. And if you don't like to, if it's too much, go ahead. You don't want to see the stem, but you like it like that, go ahead, put it here. That's fine. You want it here, but you don't like this, cut it off. You're allowed. Cut it off. It's fine. You want it over here instead? Have at it. You have some other flowers that you'd like to add with the same ink? Go ahead. You only did 3 layers here, so you're going to layer these 2 and put them over here? Fine. Or maybe you like everything in the middle. You only use those 3 layers. So now you're doing these as single flowers. They'll be shaped, but you're doing these as single flowers. Fine. It's completely up to you. It's your card. But that's how simple it is. So I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please be sure that you post them on Scrapbooking. Oh, I just lost the name. I'm sorry. The Scrapbooking Stuff group on Facebook. I don't monitor the comments on the YouTube channel, so if you have a question for me, please be sure that you put it there and try to tag me on there. Or Christina, you can email her or tag her or message her if you can. And if you have, again, any questions, be sure you do that. And please post your creations when you're done. We'd love to see how you made this card your own. We hope to see you in another class soon in person at the store if you're local. If not, thanks for taking the class this way, and we hope that these tutorials, no matter where you live or if you're taking the classes or not, we hope that they're helping you be more creative, and we hope that we'll see you soon.